Hey everybody, welcome to my Pietenpol Air Camper / RV7 YouTube video channel. Thanks for stopping by, I appreciate it. If you've been here before and you've looked at some of the other videos, you've probably noticed the long, boring introduction at the beginning of each one. I am redoing that now. I just want to cut it down, keep it nice and short and sweet and to the point. So again, welcome. One thing I also wanted to make note of is I'm going to include some contact information for those who have questions and would potentially like some help with their project. Haters, don't waste your time. I am Johnny on the spot with the delete button, and I will delete your email post haste and not even read it, so don't waste my time, don't waste yours. Anybody else looking for some help, advice, have questions, concerns, whatever, you'll now be able to contact me directly. I'm quite regular on email, so I should be able to get a response to you relatively quick. I've got a ton of photographs for both aircraft, so if you need some clarification on something, chances are I've got detailed photographs and I'll be able to help you out. Let's see, other than that, I think that's it. I'm going to keep this short. Again, if you like what you see and you want to help me out to get through my RV7 build project, you can visit my GoFundMe. Just do a search for Caretaker Aero. That's Caretaker with a K. I also have an Amazon wish list. There's some pieces, parts in there that I could use. Again, if you feel moved enough to help me out, it'd be greatly appreciated. Or if you want to just contact me directly, you know, we can talk about whatever, and so I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, thanks for coming by, I appreciate it, and again, hopefully you'll find these videos worth your time, and that's that. So let's get back to building, and I am now going to shut up, and I'll talk to you later. Here is my prototype axle block. This is the ash block. Of course, this is oak. It's a prototype, but this represents the ash block that the gear legs attach to. What I've decided to do and what I've been playing around with is cut out here for the axle. Now the axle is 1.5 inches in diameter, and I've got this rubber material here which is roughly 1/2 inch thick. And if I take this and I put it around my axle, the diameter of this, basically where my fingers are at, ends up being 2.5 inches, obviously, because this is a 1/2 inch thick piece of hard rubber, and it's going to go on each side of the axle, so that's an added inch. So what I did was I took my 2.5 inch hole saw, cut out this hole here, and I only went as deep, let's see if I can do this one-handed, I only went as deep as this dimension between my fingers, because this is cut at an angle. Maybe this would be better doing it this way. This hole here only went as deep as this dimension here. I didn't want to take any more meat off of this dimension. So it stops right here, so that this stays nice and flat and as big as I need it to be to get my metal fitting to bolt to it. So now this, again, I'll try to do this one-handed. This rubber, then I got to do all this and try to keep this camera so you can see what I'm talking about. This will fit down in here like so, and then the axle, of course, will sit inside of here, and the black will get cut off straight across here on either side, and then the gear legs, if I remember correctly, the gear legs will actually come across here and lay on top of the black. So the legs will actually sit, the corner of the legs will actually sit over top of the black hard rubber, just a little bit on either side. It'll stick out here, and this leg will stick out here
to help hold this in place just a little bit. My plan is to epoxy the rubber into here with T88, but I'm not to that point. But I got the prototype block made. I got all the angles. I got all the various angles cut. And I've got obviously this cut out for the axle and the axle padding cut. This is a finished block. This block here represents I believe this is the left side block. I've got my two real blocks made. I just don't have the cutout in them yet for the axle because I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to do that. So next step for these then would be to cut out that 2.5 inch hole. Okay, that's great. I take everything out of camera frame so you can stare at my bench top here. There you go. Alright, let me do some more woodwork and I'll come back. To be able to cut this I like to call it a hole, but I guess it's not exactly a hole. But in order to cut out this recess in the ash blocks, here's what I've come up with. Since, as I mentioned, I don't want this cutout to come below this corner here, so that this can be a straight piece across here for my bracket to bolt to, and I don't want this dimension here any thinner than it already is. What I've come up with is this fence piece that's cut at an angle to match the angle of the ash block. So you can see how this piece here is also cut at a 35-degree angle, which is the same as the ash block here. So what I have done, this is my actual ash block, and I'll explain the hole through it in a minute. It's already been cut to the various angles, and here is the 35-degree angle that I'm talking about. This is the small side of the block. This is the wide side. So what I do is I just mate these two angle faces, this 35-degree and this 35-degree. I put them together, and these are both cut at the exact same height. These were planed at the same time, so these are the same height, and this is the same angle. I drew a reference line here. Well, I'm not going to use this exact line. This was just an experiment. But what ultimately I will do is I draw a reference line on the fence piece, and I line that up with the center line where I want the cutout to be. I line those two lines up. You can see where I've already done a test to make sure it works. After I get those two lines up, then I drop down my hole saw, and I want the edge of the hole saw, I want this edge of the hole saw to come down right where they meet. That way this dimension here won't have anything taken from it. And I've already done that. I've already dropped this down and made a little test cut to make sure that the edge of the hole saw will just meet the edge, this edge here. Once that is taken care of, and I'm happy where it is actually going to cut, then I go ahead and clamp down my fence to my drill press, since I don't have a fence incorporated to it. And I just line up my marks, hold everything nice and tight and flat, and run the hole saw down all the way through. And when I pull this piece out, I'll have that nice cutout just like you saw in the prototype piece here. Okay. Woo-wee! Well, I don't know about you, but I am ready to take a break from these videos for a moment and look at a few still photographs. Okay, so this still picture here is obviously of the drilling of the ash block for the axle. You can see my particular wood fence that I used has been ruined by the drilling, but that's okay. It's pretty long, so I can just slide it over and reuse it. But this clamping method worked really well, and I got the 2.5-inch hole drilled for the ash block, and it worked out really nice. I thought it worked out well. And then after you get that cut, you can go ahead and install the heavy black rubber matting. And the simplest way that I found to do that was just to use T88 epoxy, cut the rubber oversize, and then using the actual axle itself to go ahead and clamp the rubber between the block and the axle, and that will pretty much distribute the axle will distribute the pressure evenly onto the black rubber and evenly onto the ash block, so that T88 can hold that entire black surface area quite well. I was surprised actually how well it stayed put and how well it was glued in place. This is a picture of the finished product. Again, with the rubber cut oversize, once it's glued in place, all I did was come back with a knife and I cut it to fit the block. I cut it at the various angles and cut it across and around and under and through, whatever I needed to do to fit it. But like I said, that's easily done enough with a knife. You just come back and trim off the excess. And then that hole in the middle of the black will get explained later, but the hole gets drilled in the block first, and then I glued on the black rubber, and then I went ahead and drilled the hole into the rubber. It was easier to drill, I think, once the black was glued, rather than trying to pre-drill it and then line up the hole and all that stuff. So here's a backside shot of the same block with the black, and again, it just basically shows how the black is held in place, and then it's trimmed with a knife afterwards to fit the various contours of the ash block itself. Alright, well, that will do it for now for the still pictures. I think the live action video probably explains everything the best, so I'm using a ton of those, and I'm also trying to keep the video within a decent length of time. So back to the show.
Hello again, everybody, and as usual, thanks for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it worthy, and again, as always, hopefully you found something that was worth your time. So thanks again for stopping by, and again, making this short and sweet. I've got contact information available now, so if you feel the need to help me out with my RV7 project, feel free to email me, or you can go to my GoFundMe, as I said in the beginning, at just do a search for Caretaker Arrow. That's Caretaker with a K. And again, I've got the Amazon wish list. And for you RV7 guys and girls out there, if you watch these videos and are moved to purchase an RV kit of your own, if you'd include my build number with your first order, Vans will give me $100. It's kind of like a referral, I guess. So if you were to do that, I would greatly appreciate it. It's no money out of your pocket. It's just something Vans does as an incentive. So as I said, if you decide to build and you order your first kit, if you'd include my builder number, I'd appreciate it. And all this contact information will be in the description of each video. So check out the description and do what you feel you need to do, and I would appreciate any help. And again, if you need some further assistance, contact me. I've got photographs, I've got videos. We can communicate directly, and hopefully I can give you some further guidance if you want it. So that's it. Again, thanks for stopping by. Come back frequently. I try to do a video or two every week if I can. So subscribe, keep coming back, and I will talk to you again soon. All right, thanks.